Hello and welcome to the Kratom Sobriety Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Nolan, and I am here with Desiree. Hello, Desiree.
Hi, Nolan. How are things going?
They are going very well. I'm doing all of my car maintenance, so my hands are beat up, and I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm saving a lot of money, so that's good. How are you doing?
Okay. Are you learning on YouTube?
It's heaven sent. YouTube is. It's really special. So grateful for it every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. As a woman, a single woman, so I've been saying how I need to learn on YouTube how to fix and do things for my car and all that stuff. So YouTube is a great tool to learn.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're on that path. At a certain point, I feel like it stops becoming worth it when you've been under your car for 9 hours and more lights can't come on after the fact than were there before. Yeah, but I had the pleasure of interviewing Mark, and I had a great interview with Mark. So, Mark is an expat living in a small tourist town in Thailand. And I was so curious about this interview because Thailand, Malaysia, surrounding areas are the origin point for Kratom, where it's produced. So I was really curious to hear how he got into it. But Mark and I talked a lot about the recovery period for Kratom, and he opened up about his recovery experience and how he was wondering when he'd feel quote unquote normal again. So Desiree and I wanted to talk a bit about what that recovery period looks like and how it's really important to stay strong during those fragile periods when you've had a stressful day at work or in with your family.
I am at 2 months, and I will say, when that question of when will I feel normal again, the biggest part of the adjusting to be my body being normal again was food. It's so weird, and I want to like touch on this just to bring awareness, because sometimes it's subconsciously and sometimes we're not aware of like triggers or our bodies or whatever, right? A lot of how we function is in subconscious. So I have learned that my body readjusting to sobriety and the food. So when I was on Kratom, I was not eating. So food was like non-existent. So being sober, my body, at first I was eating a lot, and then it turned into not wanting to eat, and food has just been so triggering for me, like extremely triggering, and that's a part of like my body readjusting to feeling normal again and handling stressful days and just some emotions, right? Like remembering that we are stabilizing back to normalcy and being sober. I don't know, that's just my thought. What's your thoughts?
No, that's a really good example, especially with food. And I'm glad you're being mindful of that going forward because it's a big area for improvement. And it was for me too. When I was using, I would often skip meals or not eat so that I could get the full benefits of the dose. And being able now to sit down and just have the biggest steak I've ever had in my entire life and feel just so full afterwards, not worrying about timing my dose around that ginormous steak feels so good. But my experience, I think, post recovery and that fragility that comes with wanting to use again on stressful days, I ended up coming up with this idea that you have two brains when you're quitting and when you're in recovery. One is the addict brain, so to speak, that's seeking immediate gratification and a release from whatever
Mm-hmm.
temporary, very temporary predicament it's in right now, whether that be a family stressor, a work related stressor. And then there's you, and you want to be off of Kratom and you want to be off of it for good. So trying to stay within that second version of yourself while you're going through that very sensitive and vulnerable process a month 2 months, 3 months out is so important, and it has been for me, and it's what's helped me stay clean for over a year now, which is really important.
That's awesome. Like being able to differentiate, okay, this is me like wanting to stay sober, and then there is the one that is seeking temporary relief. Yeah, for sure.
Huge. So now that you're coming up on, you say you're at 2 months now. What are the biggest triggers for you that make you want to use again?
So in the beginning, I'm learning like it's changing a little bit. There's different phases. So in the beginning, it was me being extremely tired. That was a huge trigger for me, like big time, because that was a positive effect that I liked from it was I got stimulated. So I did being tired was a trigger and food was an extreme trigger for me. It's getting a little bit better. Like I'm trying to work on it. And I think boredom. Boredom isn't so much of one of the top triggers for me. I would say like being tired and the food, and that I always use that halt, right? Hungry, angry, lonely, and tired, because those are signs, right? Like if we're hungry, what emotion are we feeling? Are we lonely? Like those are all just a good little tool to always reflect back to.
I've never heard that before. That's great.
Yeah. What about you? What are some of your triggers?
Like you said, boredom is a large one, or it used to be one of the biggest ones. I think the most vulnerable period for me is usually the period of what, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. before I go to bed because the sun has gone down. It's less exciting to go on a hike or a run or kayaking when it's dark outside at 9 p.m. So there's fewer things to distract yourself. So boredom is a big trigger. And one of the best things about coming off of Kratom is you learn how to stimulate yourself and engage in activities that are not only healthy, but that prevent you from using Kratom as a tool to cure your boredom, which can be cured in many other ways. So for me, that's writing. I'm about to publish fiction, which is exciting. I published another nonfiction earlier this year, and it's just great to have my free time back and to use it doing productive things.
Yeah, I know it was interesting in the beginning. I was like, oh my gosh, why does it feel like I have all this much more free time? And I was like, I have the same time that I did. All of every single thought, every single minute, every single ounce of energy I had went to using. And so then you're like, oh my gosh, I have all this free time because we aren't occupied with when are we going to get it? How? And just always on just this another world. And yeah, that was like that finding hobbies, right? That can fill up your time. And because you do get a lot of free time when we become sober from Kratom.
Oh, yeah, but I love everything you said. But yeah, why don't we wrap it up? Anyway, thank you for joining me, Desiree. I'm really excited for all of you to hear Mark's incredible story and just the kind of breadth of his cultural and personal experience living in Thailand. And stay strong as always, and I will see you next time. Welcome to the Kratom Sobriety Podcast. I am Nolan. I will be the host today. Thank you so much for joining us. How would you introduce yourself?
Hey, I am Mark. I'm 3.5 months sober. I've been living in Thailand in a small, infamous seaside resort. I'm digital nomad because I work from my computer and I am not tied to a specific place. About 7, 8 years ago, I met some friends and thought that I don't want to live in Europe anymore. And just thought that there's something new or like there should be some kind of a new adventure in my life. So I made a decision to move to Southeast Asia, to Thailand in particular. And this is where I am also right now.
Where are you from originally?
Like from a small country in northeastern Europe. I'm from one of the Baltic countries.
Was there any language barrier for you when you moved?
Everyone here speaks English, more or less. You have Americans, British, Australians, Russians, Chinese, Scandinavian people. Everyone from the world is coming here. So there was no language barrier whatsoever. I'm trying to do new things and change my life a bit. I actually started to learn Thai. It's really difficult. It isn't hard. It's completely different. It's a tonal language and it's completely different from any other languages.
I'm sure it's hard. And learning English isn't easy either.
English is easy, I think. It's like the international language for real. It's normal.
Or you're just a genius.
Probably not.
How did you first get introduced to Kratom?
Listen, if someone would tell me even a year ago or 2 years ago that I would be on such a podcast or that I was addicted to Kratom, I would be like, come on, it's impossible because I cannot even imagine something like that. No, but basically last year, I had a little bit of free time. I thought to use or spend it wisely or just do something interesting. So I remember last year, January, I thought I'm going to do a small bike trip because I had bought a new motorbike. I thought I'm going to do a small bike trip. It's this famous resort in Thailand. I'd never been. So I thought I'm going to do like a small adventure. It's the 3-day journey, 3,000 kilometers. Long story short, I did this journey and I traveled on my motorbike through the south of Thailand. And on my way back, that was after 2 weeks after I'd been there and driven around. If you drive for hours on end on a motorbike at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, it gets a bit hard. I randomly stopped at a southern Thai gas station just to look around and like the rest of the world. And lo and behold, I just go inside, like there's like a shop or something. I go inside, I see a refrigerator, I see these bottles of brown liquid. And I'm like, hey, what is this? And I'm like, okay, I've never heard about this before. What is it? They're just, oh, it's very good. You drink it and you get energy. And I'm like, okay, how do I drink it? You put some ice and Coca-Cola and it's really nice. I'm like, sounds interesting. How much is it? She said, $3. And I thought, wow, $100. Oh, it's supposed to be interesting. I know how weed feels. I hate it. Weed makes me super paranoid. I've done coke, like in a social environment with some friends when we played poker or like on a party, nice, right? But like I had no cravings whatsoever. Like I've done GHB, if you know what GHB is. It's liquid ecstasy. I've never had any issues with anything. So I thought, okay, it's going to be something interesting, something new, like whatever. What harm can be done or what harm can happen? $3, but was I wrong?
So wrong. As wrong as you could be.
No, I really, because I've had no idea. I've never taken any pills. I've read online and I watch YouTube videos that, because they're from California, there's a YouTube channel called Soft White Underbelly. From what I understand, there's a huge drug issue in California, Los Angeles, or the state in general. So in my mind, I always equated drug use and addicts with people you see there in Los Angeles and San Francisco. What are these streets called? The tenderloins that are on the street getting high on heroin or fentanyl. So this is what an addict, this is the picture of an addict that I have in my mind when I think of opioids. I've never heard anything about it. So again, back to my original story, is that I thought, what harm can happen, right? I bought 2 bottles, $6 in total for Samui. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try it. I start drinking it. I put in a bit of Coca-Cola, a bit of ice. From the first time, I felt like, I cannot explain. It wasn't like a rush. It was not like cocaine, but a feeling of doing something, positive feeling nice. I opened my laptop, I do online work, answer emails, I feel this motivation of doing something and I feel just fine. And I thought, is this really this Kratom or is it maybe something else? So I remember the first night I drank the whole bottle. Again, this is also something really weird because I have no idea about the dosages, like zero. Because I remember I read on Reddit, many people write, I don't know, these grams or how many things. I had no idea. Like basically what I did was like a 1 liter bottle of brown liquid and what they put into it. What is the dosage? What is the concentration? Zero. How can you know? It's impossible. So anyway, so I remember I drank like this first day. Then I remember I had a second bottle like the second day. I felt fine and I'm nice because I'm a health conscious person. I try to go to the gym every second day. Like I used to go. Now I switched to a little bit. Now I go running for 1 hour every second day. and I started doing yoga. So back to the story when I told you how I imagine junkies. I'm not like you're a person who is on the ground completing his life. So forget the name, high functioning or well functioning.
We never associate, because I was the same way. I run marathons, half marathons. I love yoga, taking care of myself. And my identity being someone addicted to fentanyl or any super hard drugs on the streets, homeless, is so far from my perception of myself.
Correct. Same.
So it super resonates with me when you talk about how when you started trying this stuff, you thought it's benign. It's very simple. They're selling it. I have so many questions because you're in the epicenter of where it's grown, produced, manufactured. So the fact that it's only 100 baht isn't surprising.
It's about it's $3. And also, okay, I wanted to tell this to you a little bit later, but I'm going to tell it to you right now. Basically, I went to a psychiatrist in Bangkok Hospital in Pattaya because I had a wave of post-acute withdrawal syndromes. I felt really bad for 2-3 days. I needed to talk to someone. I had all the answers, but I wanted to hear it one more time. And probably, I don't know if you've experienced this post-acute withdrawal syndromes, but like mentally, they're really bad.
I'll make sure to ask you all the questions.
So what I want to say about the price was, I went to see the psychiatrist, and the moment he said it, I had this aha moment. I asked him, I feel really bad. I told him, like, he's a Thai doctor. Do you have any experience with people coming off Kratom who have these withdrawal syndromes and feel bad, or do you or your colleagues? And what he told me was this. He said, I'm not paraphrasing much. This is more or less how he formulated it. He said, like, Kratom in Thailand is the drug for day laborers. By day laborers, he basically meant deadbeats and poor people, because there's a lot of really poor people here. You don't maybe see it, but there's a lot of people that are really poor. And he said, because it's so cheap, he said, people use it. He said, are day laborers? He meant if they ever have issues, go to a real professional doctor or psychiatrist to fix it. This was a light bulb moment for me, because before, when I felt bad, I was Googling. I was looking for some kind of Kratom, like withdrawal helps. My logic was, I'm in the epicenter where stuff is produced. They should have knowledge. But he told me it makes sense why the medical community here doesn't have hands-on experience. They don't get the patients because the patients just don't have the money to help going through it.
Man, that is so fascinating.
You would guess that the person who has a weed habit or a cocaine or alcohol habit had money.
Especially the cocaine habit. I've been reading that especially day laborers in Thailand, lots of physical, hard, demanding labor, it helps wake them up and with aches, pains from repetitive stress of grabbing, digging.
There's a lot of locals, motorbike taxi drivers or security guards doing long shifts. So I see from time to time that they're sitting on some, like, definitely Kratom. But again, I wouldn't say it's very prevalent in the society. I lived here for 7 years. I've never heard of it. I've never seen it. But when you see it, it's not cigarettes, alcohol, or vapes.
So it doesn't stick out much. How is it sold? How often can you just walk into a store, like a gas station? In America, I can walk into a gas station and find bottles of the brown liquid. Could you do a similar thing?
No, you could not. I first tried it in the south of Thailand, where it originated from. It was a no-name gas station. They wouldn't let it be sold like in Shell or BP or Chevron or what's happening, right? So there you could buy it freely. So when I came back, here you cannot go into a 7-Eleven or you cannot go into a normal store and just buy it off the shelf. Although it is legal now, it is not legal to sell it. This is also another thing. In Thailand, the laws do not work as they work in Western countries. There are laws, but if the police decided they want to enforce them, then they enforce them. Let's put it like that.
If they decide they want to.
So again, I don't want to say it's the Wild West. It is a real fun country, but some things are different than we are used to in the West. Back to my story, when I came back, I didn't know any place to buy it. This is also why I associate like a drug addict with, as you say, like fentanyl, whatever, heroin user. I was just thinking in my head, and why I also said it like I health conscious person, I was thinking, I do not really drink alcohol. Because like when I drink alcohol, then if I drink beer, it's not really good for the body. If I drink hard liquor, I have horrible hangovers. So I don't want to drink any. I do not smoke cigarettes. I do not take any hard drugs. So in my mind, I was thinking, wow, this Kratom was actually a pretty nice thing. Didn't give me any hangovers. I feel very good at it. Like I get this motivation. I get a really nice sleep after it. Although sleep, there was also some weird issues, right? So in my mind, I was thinking, I have struck gold. It costs nothing. It doesn't destroy my body, my liver like alcohol could. It doesn't destroy my lungs like smoking could. So I was thinking, this is actually pretty cool. I think I'm going to start drinking it. Again, back then, I had no idea how harmful it can be. I just thought it's a tea made out of leaves. You read online that it's only positive and good. What's the problem? Like, correct. I just thought it's a nice thing. And so there's these expat groups. So I wrote in some expat groups, hey guys, blah, blah, blah. Do you know where you can get it? Then I got some tips. These were dealer places, basically cafes, or not even a cafe. Like, what you go inside and then say, can I buy some Kratom? Okay. They open a big freezer or fridge and give it. It's not super shady, but a little bit. Not really. Basically, I found where I can buy it and made it into my each other day habit. I was drinking it for 3 months, something like that. I felt good. I had a small thing where I always knew what I wanted. I remember I buy a 1 liter bottle of Kratom. I buy ice, I buy Pepsi or Coca-Cola, some chocolates. And I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I mix it and I start drinking it slowly. And I watch some YouTube or I do some work on my computer and I felt nice. Positive emotions and motivation to do something. By the end of the bottle, I had a crash. It always had these two effects. Like in the beginning, it was like, like when I had the motivation, and by the end, it's like down when I prepare for bed and I go to sleep and I almost fall asleep directly, sleep for 10, 12 hours or more. The cycle repeats. And again, it's so weird, but like at that time, I thought all of this is normal. Because I felt nice, I was productive, like I made money. I was not the junkie on the street getting high on heroin. I went to the gym almost every day. I didn't feel that there's something wrong with my life. But I remember one time the usual dealer didn't have any. There was some kind of a drought or they didn't get a new shipment or for 2 or 3 days. I couldn't buy. I was sweating like hell on my motorbike driving around town thinking, where could I buy? I went to some other place and asked, hey, do you have it? In hindsight, I'm thinking, damn, this was literally junkie behavior. But at that time, I thought it's normal. I thought I really like it. I want to drink more. I was anxious. It was a long time ago, 1 year ago. The alarm bells should have been ringing, but they were not. I thought this was normal. I thought this was like, hey, I just like something. It's complete junkie behavior.
That's so perfectly describes how so many of us both get started with it. First, you try it for a few days. You think this is a natural, organic, green gift from perfect soil. How could it be
from
anything
the leaves? How
from
can
the
it
leaves?
be something wrong?
Exactly. So we go on thinking, how could it be harmful to us in any way? I'm from California. We have expensive health food stores like Whole Foods, and we're on about this kind of stuff every day. It fits in well with my culture, for example, where people start talking about it as this beautiful herbal supplement. Fascinated to hear more about your story. For that initial 3 months, how did your usage progress?
That's a perfect question. It did progress. I don't want to call it male bravado or something, but I thought like, hey, like I started like maybe smaller bottles and I thought, hey, more is better. So I thought, hey, I'm going to try a little bit more, just see the effect is. So I bought like this 1 liter bottle, like at this place where I usually bought it. And someone told me there's a place where it's not as strong. I remember in this expat group, some people wrote me like, hey man, 1 liter bottle, be careful. And I thought, there's nothing with it. I'm like, hey, I'm a big man. I think I weighed 95 kilos. I just looked it up. It's 95 kilos is 210 pounds.
Good job.
Right, because I could run and go to the gym. A really weird good side effect. After I quit Kratom, I lost a lot of weight. Now I'm like 185 pounds. That's a pretty nice side effect of getting off. Back to your question. I remember I went to this place and tried zero tea much. I was drinking a 1 liter bottle mixed with Coke in my small ritual and stuff. But at the end of like 2nd or 3rd month, like I like increased it. Then I bought 1 liter and also half liter together. I drank it every day and it didn't do anything for me. It was just more of, hey, I can do 1 liter, I can do more. And I remember by the end of the first 3 months, a few times when I was drinking it every day, I felt this motivational boost to do something productive. At the end of the bottle, I had like this kind of crush where I want to sleep and feel really relaxed. But I was drinking it every day. I still got it, but I remember distinctly many times where I'm finishing my daily dose and the last few glasses I'm drinking and I feel like she's not very good, but I'm still drinking it just to finish the bottle or dose. It did escalate. Back then I thought, whatever, but it did escalate. I remember a few times where I drank too much and I had a call with my father. I remember like my voice was even trembling a little bit. Like I was talking to him and I felt like, well, after I had drank, let's say 1 liter or a bit more, I felt like that I don't want to say that my cognitive abilities are like going down, but I felt like it's like something is like a little bit like too much. I don't know if it's normal. I have no idea how it should be. I remember there was this escalation, but I thought it's not a big issue. Again, I thought this is nothing special, just a tea. Why I say 3 months? Because I remember I was drinking Kratom for approximately 3 months. Then I had to go back to my country because my passport was expiring. I drank Kratom for 3 new passports. And of course, in Europe, non-existent basically, right? So even if I would want to, could not get it, right? I thought, okay, I'm going to see how it is. Then for 1 month, I was back in Europe. I did not experience what I thought were any withdrawals. In my mind, I had used it for 3 months. Now I'm back in Europe for a month and I don't have anything special. There were two things that in hindsight should have been warnings. Number one, I'm usually a pretty happy person. I came back to Europe and it was March. So it was like gray, like the winter is slowly going away, like it's like raining and it's not nice, right? So I remember distinctly for 1 or 2 days, I wake up in my apartment, I look outside, and this feeling of depression comes over me. And back then, when this feeling of depression came over me, it wasn't anything big. It was just, I remember looking outside and everything was great. I thought, why do I have this feeling of something is wrong? Then I thought, I just came back from a place where it's sunny every day.
It's nice and balmy. Say 70, maybe
89.
89.
It's 89. Yeah, it's 89 in Fahrenheit.
Really nice.
So I was thinking, okay, maybe because I came back and it's like shitty weather, maybe I just don't feel that because I'm comparing it how it was in Thailand. But this didn't last long. 1 day, 2 days, like it wasn't anything special. And another thing that was really weird that I, again, didn't equate it to Kratom usage, like the eyelid or the lower eyelid of my right eye was twitching. I literally felt it twitch for at least 2 or 3 weeks. It was twitching. I thought, why is it twitching? My father, he's a medical doctor. And I asked him like, hey, do you know what it is? He's, don't worry about it. You just take some magnesium. So he just said, like, that's nothing. You just don't think about it. It's going to pass. I remember I even went to get my eyesight checked to an ophthalmologist and also told him, hey, like my eyelid is twitching a little bit. Is this something that's normal? Everyone has it. Everyone just said like afterwards, when I Googled and read it, this is clearly a sign of withdrawal. Clearly. At that time, I had no idea. I thought this is just life. 37 years old now, but that also went away. For 1 month, I had not used any Kratom because there was none. In hindsight, I had cravings. I was thinking all the time, hey, I had feeling really well on it. I had no issues taking it. I really would want to drink a little bit more because it just gave me so much good emotions and gave me so much like motivation. But again, no hard physical withdrawals, no mental withdrawals. So I thought, I'm safe. I can do this. It's nothing bad. I don't have an addictive personality. I came back to Thailand after 1 month of not taking any. And Thursday, I come back. And mind you, I didn't feel bad. Like I didn't have any depression or I didn't feel any like withdrawals. I could have easily said, I don't want to do it. I'm just going to go on with my life. The first day I come back, I get on my motorbike. I drive to this place where I usually bought the Kratom bottles. On the way, I get this positive feeling. I'm going to buy some. I'm going to do my ritual. I'm going to buy all the other things. I'm going to go back home. Like start mixing it, drinking it. And it's literally what happened. First day I come back, I buy it, I go back home, I start drinking it, I open my computer, I have this motivation of doing something, I do some work. And again, I was drinking for about maybe 2 or 3 months, plus minus, every second day because I'm health conscious. I'm not going to drink every day, just every second day. But then one thing happened, I got an STI. I was out with some friends. You say, but it's nothing.
I picked something up.
Like chlamydia or something. You can fix it with antibiotics. I remember I wake up and I feel this weakness in my body. I just feel like something is wrong. And this is important because I did not equate this to Kratom. I thought, fuck, something is wrong. So I went to check myself, and then they said the results are going to come back in a few days or whatever. And then I said, I'm going to stop drinking Kratom. And then I remember, because it was all together, right? So I don't know if it was the Kratom withdrawals or if it was because I got chlamydia or something. So maybe it was both. But for 10 days, I felt really bad. Not physically, but physically also a little bit, but mostly just bad, just mentally bad. Like that something is. I remember I took a small trip to Koh Chang, a small island like 2 hours away. It's famous in the shape of an elephant head. That's why it's Koh Chang. Chang is elephant in Thai. And remember I went there for like a few days, and during the whole trip, I remember I was sweating and feeling bad. I thought this is all because of this. And it lasted about 5 or 6 days or something like that, or 7 days. It's approximately. Then I got back, I got to the doctor's office, got antibiotics, forget it was in a few days, 2 or 3 days, and it cleared, right? So again, in my mind, I thought this is nothing to do with Kratom. This was probably because I got like this other issue, and then maybe I felt bad, or I felt like weak, or I was sweating. I had decided that I'm going to stop. I'm going to decide that I actually don't know why. I think I read something online, or maybe in the expat group that I'm in, that there's some people wrote there that it's like dangerous. So I think I just thought, okay, I'm not gonna drink it for a while. It was only maybe 7-10 days, but after that I was fine. Felt good, happy again, meeting friends, going out, etc. This was about, so when I quit to drink, it was about, I don't know, maybe 2-3 months, plus minus. I forget already. But when I look back, I always had a little bit of cravings back in my mind, because I always had in my mind, like, nothing bad happened. I had so much motivation. I felt so good. Like I didn't have any withdrawals that I thought were withdrawals. So in the back of my mind, I always like, what could happen? I could start drinking it again.
Could go wrong. So was this last?
That was last year.
Yeah. The last, was that your last experience with it?
No, then I started to drink it again.
There.
So again, as I say, so back again to the timeline. So I was drinking it for 3 months, approximately, plus minus. Then 1 month free. Then again, 2 months, plus minus, I would say. Then again, like 2-3 months or 2 months free. I forget, because it was like such a long time. And then I remember end of July or August, or beginning of August, end of July, I just thought, hey, I feel good. I have had no issues. I'm going to start drinking again. Like, why not? As you said, what could go wrong, right?
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? And then I was drinking for August, September, and then until the end of October, basically 3 months. Again, the first 2 months I was drinking every second day, plus minus. Then in October, I was like already starting to drink like every second day, then every day. Looking back, I had signs of addiction. I had constipation, which I thought happens. I had to go to the toilet maybe once a week.
Part of it.
I went, had a huge release. I thought, what? I had no idea this is the result. I remember I was thinking, okay, I'm going to drink every second day. But then by the end, I was like drinking every day because I just wanted it. Again, there was no physical or mental withdrawals. It was just like, hey, nothing bad has happened. I can drink more. For the last 3 months, I was back in Europe, just relaxing and just like meeting family, friends, because I had not been there for so long. So in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be away for 3 months. In the last week, I was literally drinking every day, even if I didn't want to. But in my mind, I was like, you're going to be away for so long, you can do every day. And then what happened, what was the turning point or wake-up call for me? The first time in my life, I'm 37 years old, I had a panic attack or anxiety attack. That was 1 or 2 days before I flew back. It was horrible. I do not wish this on anyone. I remember I drank the last Kratom on Friday, and then I wake up end of October on a Saturday, and I feel weird, like something is a little bit wrong. The first sign that something is really wrong was because in every condo building or every apartment, or most apartment buildings in Pattaya, you have like also a communal pool. I thought, okay, I'm going to swim a little bit. I jump inside the pool, underwater. I get this intense panic and fear. This is the only way I can describe it. I'm underwater. And I get this fear of panic, and then I get out, and I'm like, I get out of the water. I'm like, this is weird. I never had this. It wasn't super intense. I thought, this is not normal, but I thought maybe just one of those days. But I can't explain it. You go underwater and you get this extreme fear, right? I thought, okay, this is weird. Another thing, a physical thing. I got pimples on my upper back and shoulders. For months last year, I had small pimples that I could squeeze, and I thought, why am I getting pimples? I'm not using the steroids, because I've read online that the steroids, or if you do use like these enhancement, then you can get like severe acne stuff, right? I'm thinking I'm eating normally and going every day to the gym or every second day to the gym, right? So I'm thinking maybe I'm sweating a lot. So maybe in the gym because of the sweat, and maybe to the gym and they don't have any pimples on their back. Like, why am I getting? And I saw that getting pimples is one of the side effects of the Kratom destroying your gut or something. Well, not destroying, but like changing your gut. I think this was that's because now I don't have any. So
That's
I think
amazing.
this was also that. I think this was also like for sure a side effect, because I was Googling and then there's like opioids on Kratom, what could happen? And this was one of the physical side effects. So back to the story, what was the turning point? I remember I was in a beauty salon, not beauty salon, but it's like where you get like a health treatment for your face and stuff, right? Or when they put like some cream or something, I just thought like skincare, correct. So I thought I'm going to go to a small skincare procedure just because they're so cheap here. And just because I'm going to go back for 3 months. And I remember I laying there on this bed, like it's a nice atmosphere, like calming music, everything. And I just remember I get like this intense wave of anxiety coming, like where I just physically don't know. And I paid for it. And I've had this fight or flight feeling where you need to walk, like what is happening. I need to walk, be in motion. Then it was building up. I remember I get on my motorbike, I go to the car park, get on my motorbike, and I feel like I cannot sit still. I need to drive. When I stop, I feel like I need to do something. It was horrible. And then I go up to my condo, to my room, and I'm an introvert, actually. I feel really well when I'm alone. I do not need any company. I just feel good when I'm alone and I can do my own things. I remember at that time, I come inside my room or my apartment, and I get this extreme paranoia. I get this extreme fear of being alone. It was overwhelming. And I thought, oh my fucking God, what is happening to me? So I started Googling it. I see that, yes, it's Kratom withdrawals. Everywhere it's written, it's going to last for 7 days or 2 weeks or something. In my mind, oh my God, I'm flying. I have a 14-hour flight in 2 days. How am I going to survive this? I'm getting like extremely paranoid. Okay, so I'm going to lay down on my bed. If you're drunk, hangover, you lay down, sleep it off, and after a few hours, you're okay. I lay down and I close my eyes. I cannot keep my eyes closed. I get this extreme fear. I'm thinking, what is happening to me? Long story short, I think I have to do something. I go downstairs, go to the 7-Eleven. And then I remember it was intensifying. Like this, I cannot explain the words. It's like it was an extreme anxiety attack. I remember I go into the 7-Eleven and I remember I had also these hot and cold flashes. So I think this is a classic sign where your brain, because of opioids, it cannot
your homeostasis.
Correct. It cannot regulate when it's cold, when it's hot. Remember, I go into 7-Eleven, there's like aircon blowing and I feel super cold. I get like beer, I get some drink, like water, or like outside of 7-Eleven. I cannot breathe. Like air is not getting into myself. And then I had this like beat, and then I had this hot flash in my head. I remember I felt it for a few seconds and it released. And I felt a little better, but still super bad. I remember I go back to my apartment, like I drink a little bit of the beer and I felt a little bit better, but not really. And then I chatted with some friends, and then I went out, had some bars and to a club with some friends, and I got a little bit drunk. And I don't know how, but I could sleep drunk. And then I remember it was Sunday, I think. It was Sunday. I remember, again, I opened my eyes at 5 or 6 in the morning. I jump out of my bed. I cannot sit still. I'm literally walking circles in my apartment. This lasted a few days. Before my flight home, I thought I have to go to the hospital to see what's happening. So I went to the hospital. I told them what is wrong. They were like, oh, okay, let's check. Like they took my blood samples. Physically, I was fine. But like my blood pressure was like, I don't know, like 140. So I told them what is happening. And they was like, okay, physically you're fine, but you have very high blood pressure. So they gave me some alprazolam, Xanax. I've also never taken Xanax in my life. So that kind of calmed me down a little bit. But still, I looked and I don't know how I survived the flight. I had restless leg syndrome for 2 days. I remember my right leg was twitching and shaking in the airplane for like 7-8 hours.
Restless legs.
But this is the weird thing. I only had the restless leg stuff for maybe 1 or 2 days. Oh no, all of this restless leg stuff was only the first, like when I had this anxiety attack. I remember I had it when I was sitting in my seat in the airplane for 10 to 12 hours.
That's not fun.
But no, the mental side is much more not fun. All the physical sides, things that I had, I could endure, but the mental side, we can talk about it later. The mental side was the worst. This was basically the peak of my withdrawals, of how I understood it terribly wrong. Basically, I'm 3.5 months sober. The last 3 months were pretty bad. Mentally, I felt horrible. Now I feel okay. Maybe you can tell me a bit, maybe your story or what you've heard from other people. I was reading a lot on Reddit, on Google. The pause can last 1 month, 2 months. It's okay. It's going to be better. I don't know, man. For me, even 3 months, I still felt pause. I still felt anxiety attack like 2 weeks ago. My biggest hope is that this normalizes, because the physical stuff, I understand. If your leg hurts or if your hand hurts, you can power through it. But the mental stuff, it's
job. It is so not easy coming off of it, especially when you're using it every day. The same thing happened to me. I started slowly, then every day, morning, afternoon, and then I felt the same thing when I came off.
How were you taking it? How is it?
In America, it's common to have the powder in capsules or just regular powder and you down it, which is disgusting.
But the question is, I'm sorry that I interrupt you.
No.
That is also one of the reasons why I liked it, because I really liked the taste. Because like here, because they make it like in this brown liquid like bottle, it's like a tea. And sometimes they add some sweetener to it, or they can also add something else. I found out, I have no idea if they do, but like, I again, because you buy just a bottle, you have no idea what's inside it. But the reason also why I drank it, it made me like really motivated. I really like the taste. It had this nice, like a nice blend. It has a nice taste. So it was one thing why I really like to drink it, because I just enjoyed it. But when you say that you're like, but it's tasty, but when you're saying it, that you're taking it as a powder, like, what's enjoyable about that?
I'm glad it tasted good, because I know when you mix it with other things. But that's interesting. That was the kind of the main form it came in, or at least how it was presented to you.
It's the only form available here.
The fact you've been off for 3 months is awesome. It's amazing. From all the stories I've heard and interviewed and asked around, it does get better. Even now, after this call, pat yourself on the back and go, thank goodness I did that for myself.
Imagine I would have this issue ever. I look down at the people who are having like addiction issues or drug issues, and I was thinking like, losers, like how is this even possible? Is again, I don't want to tell that I don't want to paint this picture that I'm this perfect Übermensch, perfect. But some things, it's just for you to like. My father, he used to be an alcohol addict, but he cured himself. Like he's been sober for, I don't know, 12, 13 years. But I also had a really interesting talks with him. Like he was an alcohol addict. And I also know some other people that have been like, have had addiction issues. For me, in my mind, like my brain chemistry is completely different. I cannot imagine how a person can become addicted to a substance. Whenever I have drank alcohol, if you party, drink beer, shots, mixers, vodka, whatever in clubs, right? You feel fine or elevated. But for me personally, the next day is always hell and I have horrible hangover. And for me, if I drink, then I know that the next day is destroyed and I cannot be a productive or normal. So for me, how someone can become an alcohol addict, it's inconceivable. I just cannot understand it. Number two, as I said, I've done coke in a social environment with some friends when we play poker or like on a party, right? And I can do it once every few months. The feeling is amazing, but I never have any cravings afterwards. I go on with my life. When I smoke weed, I get super paranoid. Maybe that's my brain chemistry. I don't understand people smoking weed and laughing, having a good time. I never had this. Now, I do not have cravings, 0 cravings. If I see a bottle, thought and their memory of how bad it was, like, just stop me from even looking at it.
So that's a good way to not use it again.
That's why I'm saying. What I mean is, I don't have an addictive personality, so I would have never thought. I would have never thought that.
It gets its hooks into you. It's fascinating because it's one of the most unassuming, easy to purchase items on the market.
Can you tell me about yourself? Like, how did you start using it and why?
Man, I'm a lot happier. I've got some smiling now. I love health and fitness. I lived in the UK for most of my life. It was difficult to get. Someone in my family said this is a great way. I've used it before. Maybe you should try it. So I did, and I liked it a lot. It makes you feel as though there's this warm blanket enveloping you. Everything is comfortable, and you can do whatever you want. You can watch videos, you can do work, you're productive. I loved it for my runs.
Yep.
Exactly. And then I started experiencing something. I did an interview with Charlie before hosting. I didn't have it for 3 days in the UK because I was going to go and climb this mountain with my friends. So that was probably some of the worst days of my life. I was climbing this mountain, having these intense withdrawals. I was having copious amounts of diarrhea on the mountain, which is not something that I would recommend to anyone. And my friends were going, Nolan, what's wrong? And it was like, everything's fine. I got a fancy job in New York City. I had to wear a puffy jacket, and I'd put this little pouch with me. I go into the bathroom, use it, and I hide it from everybody. You don't even realize you're addicted until it's too late. Then I decided enough's enough. The withdrawals were really bad.
How long were you using by the time you decided to quit?
Probably about 2 or 3 years. Almost every day.
2 years.
2 or 3 years. Yes. It is insane. The fact that I feel better sober now than I ever in my life. That's the reason I love hosting this, is because you come on here and you quit, and then someday you'll go, thank God I stopped. I'm very happy. But did you like it because you felt more productive, or what was your main?
No, listen, maybe I can tell you more, because I understand this is a quitting podcast, but you cannot compartmentalize it from the rest of your life. There's always something different going on, right? There's always context of why you're using or what you're doing. I've been living in this environment for 7 years. You eat cake every day. You say, no, I'm eating cake Monday, I'm so happy. I'm eating cake Tuesday, I'm so happy. I'm eating cake Wednesday, I'm so happy. I'm eating cake Thursday, I'm eating cake Friday. Oh, fuck, this is getting boring. So much cake. So what I'm trying to say is I had felt bored in my environment, because you can eat only so much cake. There's only so much fun clubs, and there's awesome bars, and everything is, but like when you have done it for basically every second, no, not every second, but like 2 or 3 times a week.
That would be concerning.
It's concerning. I don't know if you watch, there's this Futurama episode. There's this funny where like a guy dies. It's like a funny Futurama script. A guy dies and he gets at what I'm calling it, this casino machine. And he's, I won. I must be in heaven. Oh, I won. And again, I must be in hell. So my life had gotten boring. All the friends that I have, all the talks. I felt bored in the place where I am, because I was experiencing the same things, the same parties, the same conversations, the same drinking, just doing something different or something I've never done before. And I think this is the main reason why I got also addicted, because if I had, as you're saying, you've never been to Pattaya or you've never been to Thailand, if you would come here for at least 2 or 3 years minimum, you would be like on cloud 9 every single day, because it's that different in comparison to the Western world, right? I think this is one of the main reasons. Plus, as I said, it gave me this warm feeling and motivation to do something I usually found boring.
You said you're comfortable being an introvert. What struck me was when you said that was the first time you felt lonely.
First time, it was horrible. I felt fine when I'm alone. Never had any mental issues. I can just read a book, watch YouTube, do something productive, learn something, etc. Of course, I'm not against meeting people. I felt actually a bit stressed being with someone, because I usually had the urge to talk or do something. I always felt really well alone. But the first day of withdrawal was horrible. I don't know how much time we have, because you said we have to finish the most horrible thing, and I hope this helps someone getting off Kratom. But it takes time. This was the most horrible realization for me, because I hoped and I prayed that this is going to be linear. I thought, okay, 2 weeks in, I'm going to feel fine. It is in waves. The most horrible was mental withdrawal or panic attack. Even then, I was hoping that, okay, this is going to be a one-time thing. Oh, how wrong I was, because this happened a second time when I was back home about 1 month in, approximately less than a month in. And I also did a mistake. I didn't know that I was going to the gym every day back home in my country. Every day I was drinking energy drinks before, or I drink a pre-workout, which is full of, also sometimes I drank some coffee, and I still felt not perfect, but in my mind, I was telling myself, this is going to get better. This is going to get better. And one day I wake up, I drink an energy drink, I go to the gym, I work out in the gym, then I go to the sauna, and I feel also something is a bit weird, but nothing extreme. I still feel like this is 1 month in. Being free. I had to go to the city, cut my beard, cut my hair, pick the stuff up. I come back home, feel this wave of anxiety, and I think, why is this happening? I felt so afraid of being alone. I live in an apartment back in my country. I live alone. Then I called my father, who lives 30, 40 minutes away. And I told him, like, oh my God, I feel this horrible anxiety. I feel this horrible fear of being alone again. For 3-4 days, I had a wave of anxiety. I couldn't be alone. It felt better to be with someone. He has no experience with drugs.
He was accepting of it.
Like I told him, of course, he told me like, why the hell did I do it? I'm an idiot. But he said that he had similar restlessness when he was getting off of alcohol. And I also had not known this. He told me that he had this. He had also insomnia like many years ago when he got off alcohol. So he understood how I felt. So again, the only thing he could tell me, like, hey, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. But I don't know if you have had these mental withdrawals, but you cannot tell yourself it's going to get better. You just have it and you cannot get rid of it. It's horrible. What I'm trying to say is to anyone who is listening, yes, it will get better, but takes, I'm now 3.5 months in. So I had this acute moment that I stopped. Then 1 month after, maybe it started because I was drinking coffee and energy drinks. Then I remember 2 months in, I had a smaller one because I drank a bottle of beer. I had 2 days of anxiety and felt bad. And I was visiting my aunt, like in a small village in my country, like she lived, not a village, like a small city. I remember I had a wave of anxiety where I said, okay, I cannot sit still. Let's go outside. Let's walk for a bit. I remember I walked like at nighttime, 9 or 10 o'clock with my aunt through all of the small city because I had this anxiety. I felt really bad. Then that was like 2 months in. Then I didn't have any like anxieties or didn't have any waves. But then the last time that I had was 2 weeks ago. I had come back to Pattaya and I thought I'm already 3 months in, reading all these Reddit stories. They all say 3 months, everything is perfect. And I thought, okay, I'm fine. Because in my mind, I'm thinking I want to be fine. I don't want this horrible feeling. Then I met a friend I hadn't seen for 1 year, went out, I got really drunk. Then I remember I woke up the next day, I had horrible hangover, like really bad. But again, I didn't have any like some mental side or nothing. It was 2 weeks ago on a Sunday. Then I remember 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday, I thought, okay, I'm going to go out just to have a few drinks like a normal person, just to go to a bar. I didn't get super drunk. I just had a few beers on a Wednesday. And then I remember Thursday, 2 weeks ago, I opened my eyes. And again, I have this horrible wave of anxiety. I jump out of my bed at 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning. Again, I call my father. I'm like, oh my God, I feel this horrible. He's, oh, God damn it. It's again. And it's 7 in the morning. The sun was up. I couldn't lay still in my bed. So I went outside and I walked at the beach for 2 hours. That was like 2 weeks ago. That was my last anxiety. I understood I had to cut out all alcohol, all coffee, all caffeine. So for 2 weeks, I have not drank any alcohol. I have not drank any coffee, cappuccino or whatever, right? I'm quite strong-willed when I know what I want to do and why. For this month or next month, I will take 0 caffeine or coffees. I hope this will make it all go away. Because from all the talks that I also had, as I said, that I went to see this Thai psychiatrist and asked him how long this can last. And also saw one in my home country. And they'll say withdrawals can last 6 to 12 months. I pray to God that it's not going to be 6 to 12 months, but this is what I hear. Let's hope. Like right now, I feel pretty fine. And I don't have any, as I said, I don't have any cravings. I feel good, but to anyone listening, it sucks. It can last for a long time, sadly.
It's really good you brought that up. I think people, when they quit, just want it to be done. They think it'll take a week or 2 weeks. Yeah. I wanted it to be that way too. It took me quite a while.
How long did it take you?
The acute withdrawals to formal, I'd say about a month for me. So it was pretty quick.
Jealous, man. I'm so jealous. Every day I open the Reddit and then I see these stories. I'm fine after 60 days. I'm fine after 90 days. It gets me so God damn it. Why don't I have it?
Man, it's character development. Think of it that way. We're going to start wrapping it up because it's late. But before we go, do you plan on staying where you are? Or are you going to move around again? Because you seem like you enjoy moving around quite a bit.
Actually, I'm flying to Singapore tomorrow morning. It's super cheap. The flights to Singapore there and back from Bangkok is like $120.
It's nothing.
It's because people like stay because it's 2 hours away. So I have the what's it called? Forgetting where I have the nice place. I have a nice place in life where I don't have a 9 to 5. So I feel like this is a thing. And again, I don't want to say that I'm so good. I'm so happy and lucky. But for me, the grass is always greener. I'm a digital nomad, so I don't work that much, maybe 3-4 hours a day, because all I can do is on my because I have some businesses set up and they're
self-sufficient.
I need to tend to them a little bit, but then I have another problem because I don't have like this work atmosphere. Because when you have a work or when you have a colleagues, you have the work environment, you can do something together. I have to make up what I'm going to do every day. But it's sometimes imagine if you wouldn't need to work that much, like now you would say, I don't know if you're doing a 9 to 5 or if you're working a lot, right? But like now you would say, if you are, then you would say, oh, I would do so many things. Yeah, but imagine if you have done all these things already for a few years, then it gets empty.
It does get empty. I was doing freelance and I had a couple businesses. After a while, you crave that structure a little bit, like your colleagues and people.
Correct. Imagine if you really like YouTube, you watch all of YouTube for months
as much as you want.
Then you want something else. No, but getting back to your question, I plan to hop around, see other places.
Singapore tomorrow is pretty crazy. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Is there anything else you would like to say or anything we didn't touch on?
I think that I remember I wanted to say something, but now it skips my mind. Basically, for all those listening, it does get better, number one. And I think if you would ask me if it's a good thing that happened to me or if it's a bad thing, I would say it's a good thing because I have changed my habits, the way I look at the world or the way I interact with people nowadays. Because, for instance, I just started doing yoga. Yoga helps a lot. If anyone is having withdrawals, go to yoga. It takes you out of your mind, helps you forget a little bit, and just the stretching and doing it in general, besides the fact that it's really good for your body and muscles. I understood that I have to change my thinking patterns, just talking more to people and being more open. One last thing, this is something that I have started, maybe I don't want to say developed, but I started recently. I know if you had it, but I think Kratom had some impact on my eyes. I started 2 months ago or 1 month ago when I was wearing my lenses. I would wear not my lens, but my glasses, because I wear contact lenses now. Sometimes at nighttime, I start to see these streaks of light. Even now, when I'm outside in the evening, bright lights are really bright for me. I think I have developed more sensitive eyes than before. I hope it's going to go away
too. I hope so.
It's not crippling, but I remember
annoying.
It was not like this. It's a bit annoying. Did you have any physical?
I didn't have that. I had really oily skin, kind of puffy face. Yeah. I had a bunch of things happening. I don't wear contacts or glasses, so maybe that has something to do with it. So much about Kratom we don't understand yet. I really hope that gets better for you.
Every morning now, for a month or two, without any alarm, I wake up and I feel fine at 9 or 8 in the morning. I remember when I was using Kratom, I used to go to bed at 2 or 3 at night.
Same for me.
I used to wake up at 11, 12, sometimes even 1 p.m. That was last year. I was waking up 11 or 12 in the morning. And I felt bad for the first few hours when I was waking up that late. I felt like crap. I don't think it was obligatory connected to Kratom. Maybe it was just because I was waking up so late. When I was waking up at 11, 12 or 1 o'clock, I felt, oh my God, the whole day is already almost gone, right? So I thought, why can I not wake up earlier? Now I wake up super easy in the morning, no issues whatsoever. Number 2, it's so weird. I feel completely fine and energetic with 1 or 2 small meals a day. this is also why when I told you that I weighed 210 pounds and now I'm like, what was it? Like 185 pounds.
Wow.
Like I don't feel any cravings for food. I don't feel hungry. Like this is also, at least I felt this like last 2 days, but I think this is also because of a little bit of anxiety. I feel energetic and I'm fine and I can run for 1 hour in the park. I feel fine. I just feel better in general, losing some weight, getting some sleep, waking up, not being hungry.
Nice.
In general, it made me more perceptive to other people, to understand that any person, without anticipating them, what happened to me can happen to anyone.
That's very wise and good advice for everyone. You shared some positives too, because it can be tough. But Mark, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about the culture over some of our parts. Less fun part.
Come visit. I could show you around.
That would be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun.
I've done coke like in a social environment with some friends when we played poker or like on a party, right? I've done coke like in a social environment with some friends when we played poker or like on a party, right?